Hi, I'm Juniper, and today I'll be showing you how to make these fermented pickles.
Here's what you need. About 2 pounds of cucumbers, 5 cups of filtered water, 2 tablespoons of fine sea salt, optional 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric for a fresh flavor, and the 20 cloves of garlic sliced. Use more if you're a garlic girl like me. Half an onion, thinly sliced, a bunch of fresh dill, 4 bay leaves, a teaspoon each of fennel seeds, coriander seeds, dill seeds, peppercorns, allspice, mustard seeds, and celery seeds, or you can use about 2 tablespoons of pickling spice. Now we need something to ferment our pickles in. I'm using 4-quart jars, but the recipe I'm following calls for a half-gallon jar. It's up to you what you use depending on how many pickles you want to make and what your space situation looks like. We need to make sure our jars are clean and sterile. First, with soap and warm water, wash them well and set them aside to completely dry. While the jar is dry, I'm going to sterilize our lids. I'm going to put them in a small saucepan and cover them with water, and put it over high heat and then let them boil for about 20 minutes. Now for our jars. We're going to put our jars in the oven and bake them for about 20 minutes at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. It's important that we put the jars in before turning on the oven so that we don't end up with broken glass in our oven. Then we wouldn't have anything to put our pickles in. While we wait for our jars to sterilize, we can start making our brine. In a mixing bowl, or if you're like me and all the mixing bowls are dirty, a large Tupperware container, add in your water, sea salt, and turmeric and mix until dissolved. What I'm doing here is cutting off the flower end of my cucumbers. The flower end contains enzymes that can make your pickles softer than you'd like. Then I'm putting them in a cold water bath to help keep them crisp. Notice that they're whole. Remember that for later. This is going to come back and haunt me. Once your jars and lids are done being heated, let them cool down before you add anything to them. Now we're evenly distributing our spices into our cooled jars. If you're better at planning ahead than I am, then you'd put about 3/4 of a teaspoon of each of your spices, or about a half tablespoon of your pickling spice into each jar. Halfway through adding my spices, I realized I should probably make sure that my cucumbers are going to fit inside my jars. That's not going to work. So I went back and I quartered my cucumbers into spears and put them back into the water bath. Now we're ready to pack the jars. I'm adding in garlic, onion, and a bay leaf into my jar. Then I'm going to pack my jar about halfway with cucumbers. At this point, we're going to pick off a sprig of dill and roll it up and shove it right into our jar. I'm going to do that once, twice, and dare I say, 3 times. Now that our counter is magically cleaned up, we're going to add in more pickles. We're going to really make sure that they're packed in there and that they don't move. We don't want them floating up while they're fermenting. With the magic of video editing, we can see that we have a beautiful and perfectly packed jar of pickles. As you can see, nothing's moving. Now we're going to add our brine to our jars. Just make sure that you leave about 1 inch or so of space at the top and that all of your cucumbers are completely covered. Now loosely add the lids to your jars. Make sure that you don't use the bands, otherwise the tight seal will make the jars explode. Now I'm going to move these to a cool, dark place like my pantry for about 3 days to ferment.
Alright, see you in about 3 days. Alright, it's been 3 days, so let's go check on our pickles. Here they are! Aren't they beautiful? Alright, let's take a closer look.
As I move the jar around, you can see that there are some air bubbles moving and that the brine is cloudy. This tells us that our jars are alive. So what's happening is that there are bacteria from the veggies in the jar that are eating the sugars in the cucumbers. Those bacteria then use that sugar for energy, and they produce carbon dioxide, which is the bubbles, a bit of ethanol, which is an alcohol, and lactic acid, which will give the pickles their tangy, acidic flavor.
They definitely smell like pickles. Let's try one. Still crispy, but they still taste really fresh. I can start to taste the sour starting to come in from the fermentation, but I think I'm gonna let these ferment for another 2 or 3 days and we'll try them again. Alright, it's day 5, so let's go try our pickles. Alright, here's one of my jars. Let's go take a taste. So they're starting to get a little bit soggy, so I think this is going to be the end of our fermentation, but let's try them. yeah, they're tangy. And I think they're just as sour as I want them to be. Plus they're starting to get a little soft, so yeah, let's go ahead and put these in the fridge. And I think we're all done.
Now you can taste your pickles at any point during the fermentation process, and when they're at a tanginess that you prefer, then you can just go ahead and put your lids on and then put them in the fridge. This will slow down the fermentation process and keep your pickles from getting any soggier or getting any more sour. But the recipe told me that you can have these fermented for up to 21 days for a full sour pickle, but I can imagine that those would get pretty soft. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Hi, I'm Juniper, and today I will How does my dill look in the frame?
Looks good.
Okay. Let me do that again. It's not smooth.
This is a little not centered.
I think it's gonna be the popcorn ceiling that's the death of us. Alright, it's pulling on the popcorn ceiling.
Do it next to it. Like the next, at the bottom.
Alright, see you in about 3 days. That was bad. That was bad. That was bad. It's fine.
Our door sucks.
Do everything in post, bro.